Well, good morning or good afternoon. It actually could even be good evening, depending on when you're watching this recording that we're very excited to be able to share with you. This is being actually recorded, as I just mentioned. We will be distributing this out to all of those that are in our database, and we welcome you. At the end of this, we're going to be able to give you the contact information. Obviously, you know how to get a hold of us here at CSI Financial Group or Epic Services Company, but the presenter today that I'm very excited to be able to introduce here just momentarily, Marcus Foote and I go back some 6, 7, 8 years, right whenever I was starting CSI Financial Group, whenever I was looking for uniqueness, right? Different type of opportunistic, innovative ways to get in front of clients and to be able to get assets that you have the opportunity to get in motion, as we call it. So I was, I was introduced to Marcus, and he's going to be sharing a lot of the adaptation that he's had with his innovative process that he calls the in-marriage QDRO. And we were able to secure an exclusive arrangement with Marcus, and that's what we're excited to be able to share with you today. Only through Epic and CSI Financial Group, our affiliate companies, are you able to have access to Marcus and through us. So I want to go ahead and let you know just some short little, small little house cleaning details. The agenda, we're planning on really 30 minutes, 35 minutes, maybe max. This is not a Q&A because, as I said, we are recording this, but you will be able to have the opportunity to reach back out to Marcus directly, or you can reach us to get more information. But, Marcus, let me go ahead and bring you in from Louisiana. It's been quite the journey for you as you've been continually refining and learning the different things of where the application is for the in-marriage QDRO. Is that not true?
Yeah, like you said, when we first met 7, 8 years ago, when I just started doing this, really basically in Louisiana and Texas, and I forgot how you heard about us, and we talked, and you were just starting CSF Financial, and kind of the words were, go learn more than its applications to more than 2 or 3 states, and then contact me later. So we lost touch for a little bit, and after we've now done them for 30 states with over 100 and probably 170, 180 of them done with above a 90% success rate. You and I touched base, and now we're starting to do some of them again. So yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. You've got the controls, so to speak. And again, for those of you joining us, thank you for joining us. I promise this is going to be worth your time to at least understand what is capable out there to be able to get in front of clients that have these typically tied up 401k or contribution plans that are out there. And Marcus's innovative way and registered trademark in-marriage QDRO, he's going to go through today. So make sure you stay until the end so you can be able to get in contact with us. And with all that being said, Marcus, the floor is yours.
Well, I appreciate it, Carter. As I said, I appreciate the opportunity here and anything I can do to assist you and the people you work with. So as Carter said, we just kind of dubbed it the in-marriage QDRO. For those that will know QDROs, we'll talk about those in a couple of minutes. Really what you're going to discover today is that there's a tool, the QDRO, which is normally associated with divorcing parties. If you Googled QDRO, that's all you're going to get is divorce this and divorce that. And that's been my specialty for the last 15, 20 years. And as I said, several years ago, I realized that the word divorce was not actually in the statute. And therefore, it allowed us to go outside of what was a traditional customary usage, figure out different ways of moving money around. So what you're going to figure out today and learn about is ways that for a happily married couple, should be happily married, just say married couple, but it should be happily married couple, to get access to them, unrestricted access to qualified benefits without penalty, and without any kind of restrictions, including age restrictions, work restrictions, things of that sort, in order to do 3 things: financial freedom, financial planning, estate planning, and control. That's really, as any financial advisor would tell you, are extremely important. And since most of the people watching this are probably financial advisors, you're going to know that more than myself. Again, what is a QDRO? I'm not going to get into too much of the legal aspects of it. I want this video to be mostly about its application to different advisors' practices. But the gist of it is a domestic relations order that it's signed by a state court judge. So this is not just a quick notarized document and that's it. It's signed by a state court judge in a proceeding. It recognizes a marital interest, which we'll talk about in a second, between plan participant and the alternate payee, which is the spouse, and it's approved by the plan administrator. That's basically the three big boulders, so to speak, of the process. There are several sub issues involved in each one of those, which if you talk to any family law attorney, just QDROs in general can be a tricky aspect, but those are the main things. All right, this is the gist of why we're here today. Specifically, the definition of alternate payee by the IRS and the Federal ERISA Code specifically says that an alternate payee can be a spouse, former spouse. Those are two different things. Spouse means current spouse. It's fairly clear from just the reading. Now, there's other parts of it, child, dependent, a participant, and I'm sure some of y'all want to have any other questions. Oh, can we use it for this? Can we use it for that? I'm just focusing all that we do is just dealing with current spouses at a marriage QDRO. There are other reasons why that child and dependent is there for other purposes. That's not really what we're doing. And I think you really can get into potential issues if you start going through generational transfers, which we're not doing here. All right, so again, as I said, the words divorce and legal separation do not appear in the QDRO section of ERISA. Most importantly, though, if you try to do an IRA rollover, actually in that, it actually says you have to have an incident to a divorce. So if you talk to any attorney, if you have two statutes, one has a requirement, one doesn't have a requirement. Well, you could probably say somebody forgot it, but in legal construction, that's not allowed. The issue is both of the requirements were considered for both statutes. One put it in there, one did not, which means it's not a requirement and you shouldn't read it into the statute. And that's what's going to be key for us today. Again, I did a lot more research and found this from the Department of Labor. They specifically asked the question, must a domestic relations order be issued as a part of a divorce proceeding to be a QDRO? And their answer, not mine, the Department of Labor's answer says no. I provide their exact quote and I provide the citation at the bottom of the screen. Again, there's a lot more legalities and legal issues we're not going to get into regarding the minutia today. I'm glad to answer that. If anybody, you can talk to Carter. Carter can give me a call later. I'd be glad to answer any more of the very technical questions, case law, things of that sort. But that's the kind of the 5-minute version of the legality for the foundations of this. As I said, we have done close to 180 of them in 30 different states. About 93% of them have been approved. The ones that have not is mostly jurisdictional issues that the judges are having issues with because it's so brand new. So again, we can always talk about that later. Now, once you get past the legalities of can you do it, then the question is, well, why would you want to do this? And before I even start going through this, as financial advisors, you could probably already figure it out in your mind because you probably had a situation before where you just said, oh, if I could get access to these funds, I could do a lot more than wherever the funds are right now. That's basically why you're here today. The currency of access, getting access to funds. So again, currently for any married couple, say you just take a 52-year-old man or woman at a company. Well, how do they get access to their pension or 401k? They can retire, assuming they're old enough. They could quit and then do a rollover. They could divorce. Obviously, that's the least preferable. You have plan loans, hardship distributions, and in-service distributions. Well, each of those have restrictions, right? Whether you do a hardship, some plans don't offer in-service distributions. If they do, some of them are limits. Basically, the in-marriage QDRO we consider to be the 7th trigger to get access that has no requirements, no age requirements, no hardship requirements, and you don't have to pay it back. So again, those are the modes. If you can do any of the other ones and it satisfies your client, feel free to do those. But when you can't get access to funds, or you can't get access to a maximum amount of the funds, the in-marriage QDRO is able to satisfy that where the others do not. So let's go through a couple of those. The one that's the most obvious that some advisors know about or don't know about is there is no 10% penalty for a pre-59.5 liquidation. I mean, every person that has a 401k and every single financial advisor knows, oh, I'm going to advise my clients not to liquidate their 401k no matter how much they think they need it, when they're 52 or 46 or 57, because just taking 10% and losing 10% plus paying the taxes, it just eats up everything you've tried to gain. Well, there's an IRS exemption that says you do not have the 10% penalty if you are an alternate pay of a qualified domestic relations order. So once we trigger the QDRO statutes, the spouse who's getting the funds can literally liquidate it without the 10% penalty. There's still taxes, but again, whether you're doing Roth conversions, we'll talk about in a second, or you liquidate half of it in November and you do a second in-marriage QDRO in February and you liquidate the other half, there are ways to do tax planning with a good financial advisor that can, again, save literally 10% off the top. And you're talking about 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, it really can add up. Another popular usage of this is for the required minimum distributions. Again, this was an actual client of ours. As you'll notice, it says the RMD is at 70.5. I know now it's a little bit higher than that, but I wanted to put the specific facts of the case we dealt with. And so these are the facts when we dealt with them. So Mr. Richardson, obviously his name is different, was working. He owned the company, it was like a construction equipment company, did make good money. He had over 800,000 in his 401k. He was on his second marriage. His first wife had died. His second wife was 15 years younger than him. They had a good relationship with their kids, but if you ever do estate planning, death changes people every once in a while. And so when we was talking to a partner of mine about estate planning, and he asked the question, well, I don't want to take these RMDs that I'm going to be taking in a year. And so we started talking more, and really what you can do is we transferred 600,000 of the 800,000 to his wife that was 14 years younger. That delays the RMDs for $600,000 for 14 years. She gets it. Now, she could grow without the RMDs. She could liquidate part of it. The planning of what she does with it is between her and the financial advisor. But that stopped him from having to take and delayed the RMDs. It then was also used for the part of the estate plan. Because remember, his kids were going to be the ones that are going to be getting the business, but he didn't want his wife, who had been married to for 14, for I forgot how many long years at that point, to be left out after his death. Although his kids had a good situation now, they're not her kids. So by transferring 600,000, it actually took it out of the estate. She has complete access to it, and she can't be, she'll be financially set, at least for that situation. And of course, you would imagine the financial advisor for the wife, who didn't know that this was even possible, a month before we got involved in the case, clearly is very happy because now he gets to manage $600,000 where it was in his 401k, 2 months before. Again, another situation, diversify investments. I'm not going to go through the exact scenario here, but down in South Louisiana where we're at, we see flyers literally every day. Once you hit 50 years old, you get flyers to go to this financial advisor for dinner and this financial advisor to get their advice. And what they're doing is there's a lot of plants, Exxon and other types of plants in South Louisiana, and they're trying to say, when you retire, come, let us show you what we can do to roll over your 401k, roll over your pension, diversify you in a portfolio, do tax planning. And all of those, I'm sure, are exceptional ways to manage your funds. All I'm saying, and I'm saying you do that, all I'm saying is with the Marriage QDRO, you don't have to wait to retirement. You don't have to wait till they're 65 years old. If the person is has a lot of in his 401k, has a lot in his pension, is going to be retiring 2, 3, 4 years, you can roll all of that and start the diversification and tax planning now instead of waiting to retirement. You can do this even with the pension. We did one where there was an executive in a large defined benefit plan. He was 57, nearly capped out because he was on the higher echelon of the company. And he simply wanted to know what kind of tax planning he can do. And if I'm not mistaken, Carter, this is, I think, one of the ones we did with your company, where it allows the IMQ, allowed the executive to take a lump sum portion of his pension, not his 401k, his pension, 4 or 5 years before he had planned to retire, roll it into the wife's IRA, and allow Carter and some of the other people that Carter was working with to do tax planning and other types of benefits. There was a second benefit to it, because with lump sum pensions, as all of y'all are now aware, once the interest rates started skyrocketing last year, what happens to lump sum values for the actuarial pension aspects? They go down, interest rates go up, he works another year, and his pension's the exact same lump sum value. It's insane, but that's the way actuarial pensions work. Well, we were able to get it done before the end of 2022, I think it was, and we were able to get it out and valued on the 2022 actuarial rates for that company, which saved the guy tens of thousands of dollars, I believe, off the bat. Long-term care planning. What I'll say about this, because there's a lot we could say about it, but I'm just giving one example. This is an exact case where if you're doing any kind of planning, person's going into Medicaid, going into a nursing home, and a lot of times if you have a pension, that pension just goes straight to the nursing home. Whether you get partially qualified, fully qualified, whatever, it goes straight to the nursing home. And what happens is the spouse that's staying at home now loses $1,000, $2,000, $4,000 a month, whatever the size of the pension is, and it just disappears. It goes to the nursing home. And I believe, although there's some very innovative methodologies that people do, the one with 401ks and some other stuff, the one thing that pretty much nobody else can do except what we do with the Marriage QDRO is literally wave a magic wand and take the pension from the spouse that's going into the nursing home and put it in the name of the spouse that's staying at home, and they get to keep 100% of that benefit, that pension, for the life of the original participant. Again, you're gonna have to check with your estate planner. For the different states have different rules regarding this, but in general, most of the attorneys that I've dealt with, this is the only way that you can actually save 100% of the pension from going to the nursing home. Again, in that situation, we were going to save this couple $23,234 a year for the length of however long she was in that nursing home. Couple of scenarios here. If the people are 40 years old and they make over 206,000, 203,000, I forgot the exact threshold, they can contribute to an IRA. I know a lot of advisors are now saying, you know, they rather pay the people that really make a lot of substantial funds, 300, 400, 500,000 a year. They're already in the 30-something% tax bracket, and they're waiting for the rates to go up even higher after 2025, when the sunset for some of the Trump tax cuts expire, and they're willing to advise their clients to go ahead and let's take it out the funds now, convert it to an IRA, liquidate it without the 10% penalty, take some of the tax cut, or take the tax hit and pay it at the lower tax rate. Now, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that's not a bad idea. Obviously, that's the exact opposite of avoiding the RMDs. But again, that's for your tax planning. All we're trying to do is give you options. If you believe that it would be beneficial to do that with your tax preparer or your financial advisor, both delaying the RMDs or paying the tax hit right now without the 10% penalty is a way, and they're both options.
Yeah, and let me just jump in there. Obviously, when we're talking about that 10% penalty, we're talking that pre-59.5 that's baked in those laws, those ERISA laws that allow you to completely avoid that altogether. And you can really only do that with the in-marriage QDRO.
Correct. Or divorce, but
any QDRO, whether it be in marriage or
yeah, exactly it. We're trying to avoid that for most people.
The whole point of this, right, is married / happily
That's
married.
Right. But you got bigger problems if you're having to go that other route.
Exactly, which you can also help with at the same time.
Absolutely, at least in the state of Louisiana. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, so the last couple of uses that we have here, again, you could pay off debt using the same thing with the 10% penalty. You can do more than one QDRO. You can buy alternative investments. I had a client that was 3 years away from retiring. He was in his late 50s. He ended up using the in-marriage QDRO, rolling over several $100,000 into his wife's IRA. They didn't invest it. They bought a restaurant. The restaurant was being managed and was owned by the self-directed IRA, and they were going to build up the restaurant. Now, without any funding other than his 401k, he's got 3 years to build up the reputation of the restaurant so that when he retired, they would be able to both live off of the restaurant's income. So you can get really inventive in how you do these things. It can reduce the death tax once that's, for really, wealthy people that, have $5, $6, $7, $10 million, when they reduce that death tax threshold to I forgot what it is, it's going to be under 6. If somebody's above that, sometimes you want to level out their assets between the two spouses. In-marriage QDRO can do that by rolling over pensions and qualified funds. Some people are not divorced, but they're married filing separate for whatever reason. You can do this and liquidate a lower tax bracket. People that are physically separated but not divorced for whatever reason, health insurance reasons or whatever the case may be, you can use the in-marriage QDRO to transfer funds even though you're not getting a divorce. Again, additional scenarios. I know this is being recorded so you can play this back, so I'm going to kind of skip through this one. You can read this one at your leisure, but again, it's just different ways to think about accessing funds that you probably would not have known about earlier. The last one is the one I like. I mean, imagine you knew about this 2 or 3 years ago, when literally for a lot of people, COVID comes and your income goes down by 50%, 60%, 70%. They have all these tax credits and other things. That would be the year you'd want to go, even if you don't need the money, even if there's not an urgency for it. If you got an anomaly year where your tax rates are going to be extremely low, go liquidate some of the 401k without the 10% penalty, put it in after tax, put it in annuities, put it in other insurance products that Carter and some of the people he deals with can help you with. And just for that 1 year, and now you're dealing with after tax funding. Again, I've given this to Carter. It's on our website. It's an IMQ chart. And unless you have really a microscope, you might not be able to read it on the screen. I tried to put it all on one page, but the first column is, what is the plan? You have 401k, a pension, a frozen pension, the personal facts. Like the first one is, it's a 401k, have a much younger spouse. The third column is, what can the IMQ do? It allows it to roll over to the younger spouse. So that, meaning what's the result? So it's a chronological, so that you can look at which type of plan and what are the personal facts you need. What we're giving you here today is tools for you to go and start mining your own clients that you may not have been able to help a year ago or 2 years ago. Take a new fresh look when you do your reviews with your clients to see if they meet any of these fact scenarios that you would not have come across your brain, a year ago. This is very important. If you like this idea, don't push it too far. It is for specific scenarios. It's for 401ks. It's for 401as and 403bs. Now, although you can do those, some 403bs say you can get it into the other spouse's name, but you can't get it out of the plan. So there are still some restrictions. It might be good for delaying the RMDs, but if you want to try to liquidate, sometimes those have restrictions. We can help you with that. Pension plans, qualified profit sharing plans. Now, we've also done 457 plans. So my wife works for the state of Louisiana. We did it for her 457 plan, which is an ERISA base, but I cannot do it for her state of Louisiana pension. Okay, because that's state sponsored, not an ERISA plan. Some non-qualified plans, we've done them for what they call nest egg plans and top hat plans, where they're non-qualified, but those are per case. Some plans will not allow it, and since it's not a qualified plan, they don't have to allow it. So again, we can look at that, give us a call, give Carter a call, we can at least check into it. Then there's a thrift savings plan. I say maybe. The reason I say maybe is we've actually done them now with the TSP. Although it's not an ERISA plan, we've done 2 of them. Both of them have been qualified. Again, I just say maybe simply because my whole concept and my whole strategy was built on an ERISA type plans. And when you're dealing with non-ERISA plans, non-qualified top hat plans or TSP plans, I always just say, hey, there's no guarantee in that scenario. What you cannot do is military pensions, federal pensions, state pensions, railroad plans. Those are not ERISA plans, and obviously the non-qualified plan ones that don't allow it. IRAs and SEPs, you can't do it. However, what I will tell you is this, know the transfer rules. There are rules in Louisiana and around the nation where you can roll over your own funds from an IRA to the 401k. So here's an example. This is what you're looking for. This is the IRA transfer rules. So if you have both an IRA and a 401k, you can't do an in-marriage QDRO with the IRA. However, if you wanted to, you can put the IRA back into your 401k, or in some circumstances, even create your own LLC with a solo 401k, roll it into the 401k. Now it's within the confines of ERISA. You can do an in-marriage QDRO. Now, again, it's for the strategy. If you're trying to just put it in an IRA, well, why would you need to put it into your wife's IRA and go through all this trouble? Well, that's true, but if there are specific things you're trying to do, right? If you're trying to get access to it without the 10% penalty, if you're trying to delay the RMDs, if you're trying to do an annuity where you get some upfront funding. And there are different ways that you can do things. Again, the goal is to know the rules, not necessarily do it every single time. The risks, again, the risks are death, divorce. These are not simulations. Obviously, death can be manipulated or at least monitored, because if you transfer from the husband or the wife to the husband, as long as you change the beneficiaries and things of that sort, you can a will, you can go ahead and monitor. So though it's technically a risk, it's a risk that can be monitored and fixed to some extent. Obviously, divorce. Some states it's worse off than others, depending on it. This is an actual transaction, but in some states it's still subject to division upon divorce, and other states it's not. So again, it's not. It can never be down to a zero risk, but some states that's a bigger risk than others. Again, you have the cost. It's not free like an in-service distribution or a hardship. But if you don't qualify for those, you just try to monitor the cost. it varies. If it's an emergency, sometimes the cost is worth it. Otherwise, every case is different, and if the person needs access, the person needs access. But by and large, you're talking about transactions that are going to be over $150,000 to $200,000. I think you could do any amount, and we'll be glad to investigate any amount. But I'm just telling you that the average is going to be over the 150 mark to make that worth it. As I put on here, we try to keep statistics. We try to be as transparent as we can. We've now the six rejections, I think now is 7. And we've done 170 of them in over 30 states. As I said at the very beginning of this, the ones that have been rejected, 3 of them have been rejected without even commenting to us why. So I can't give you a reason, and we didn't feel like appealing them. What we do now is we actually can do a partial refund or mostly a full refund of what we charge, so that your clients are not in a worse situation from the beginning. The other couple of rejections were simply because they talked about what they call the court didn't think they had jurisdiction. I think they do, and in most states they do. Some of the state court judges think they just don't have jurisdiction. And again, the option is refund the client the money or try to challenge the judge. Usually this situation is not. And the reason why I know that this is not that big of a problem is we had one where in Florida, same state, same county, we got one through, we got another one in the same county rejected by the judge. So again, it's per judge and what they believe their jurisdiction is. So again, when you're talking about over a 93% success rate, that's usually and a refund attached to it, it's usually worth it to investigate.
Yeah, and those things obviously, Marcus, are subjective, which is why that's that way, right? The operating law may be viewed differently subjectively per each judge. And I know that we have a couple of states, I'm not sure if you're going to get into that or not here, where you can guarantee 100% success because you can do a little bit of jurisdictional shopping within that state, right?
Yeah, certain states have, by consent, you can choose your venue. So there are a couple of states where you can actually, I say, guarantee us 100%. Well, to some extent, because they're small counties that have 1 or 2 judges, and we've already educated, or the local attorneys have educated those judges, and so let's just say it's 99% chance that the judges, after they've done 2 or 3 of these, aren't going to turn around and reject the 4th one unless they actually find something wrong with our documents, which, obviously is something that's usually can be corrected if we ever make a mistake. So yeah, to that extent, there is a 99% success rate in those particular states. And I can always talk to you and other people to go through that. Last screen here is should you is different than can you. As I say, our job is to explain the risks and to work with advisors to tell what is possible. Once the funds are transferred, so the actual way is it goes from the participant, they open up and they get it signed sign the documents, sign it by the judge, send it to the plan transfers and puts the funds into what they call an interim account of the alternate payee. At that point, our job is done. Hopefully the financial advisor you're working with or the client's working with will know what to do and what to do with the funds from that point forward. So should you do it? Totally different question than can you do it? It is illegal. It is an actual transaction and it is a legal transaction. It's a one national statute, but every state applies it a little different, which is some of the disruptions that we've seen, that we've worked through in certain situations, and sometimes we don't.
But again, Marcus, I just want to reiterate 93% success rate, so highly successful, and you refund everything, but I think like court costs or something like that.
Yeah,
not able to go through, right?
That's correct. So it is virtually risk-free in that situation.
Yeah.
Correct. So again, that is it here is our contact information that Carter was talking about. Obviously, if you're getting this, you know Carter and his goods companies. You can always contact him, and he has straightaway lines with us, cell phones and things of that sort. Otherwise, I have the email to my assistant Jennifer, and our website, which again is, let's just say it's getting better. None of us are web designers as attorneys, so it's getting better.
Yeah,
So,
and Marcus, you can get a pretty decent amount of information on there. Obviously, the purpose of this today, and thank you all for joining us. You can always reach out directly to Marcus, but if you want to get to me and to him, what I've really appreciated about Marcus is his access, right? We're talking about access here, your access, right? I simply just, when you call me, we have a conversation, you want to get more in depth, peel the layers of the onion back, get really into the weeds. I just calendar some time with Marcus, and he's willing to go through all of that stuff so that you're very comfortable in raising that awareness in the application of everything before you really even potentially introduce it to your clients that you might have already or potential prospects. So Marcus, that's what I love about our relationship, is just your access to our advisors to really enlighten them and educate them on the capabilities of the In-Marriage QDRO.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody, thank you so much again. You've got all of the information to get directly to Marcus. You got his phone number there. You can also reach out to us here at CSI Financial Group or Epic Services Company. You can email me. You can call our office, 888-316-6040. Also, you'll have some more information in here that we're going to deliver as well, as far as getting onto calendars. So we like to calendar everything. Makes it very easy to be able to coordinate times, especially since a lot of you are in different time zones, and Marcus is physically in Louisiana Central Time Zone. So Marcus, if you don't have anything else, we're going to let everybody go.
That sounds good to me, and I'll be talking to you later.
All right, sounds great. Hey, everybody, have a great day, great morning, great afternoon, whatever the case may be. And we will talk to you again soon. Thank you, everyone.